Hello, my name is Charles, and in today's video, we are going to touch on how to stay focused if you have ADHD. Now, I know a lot of people, right, in today's generation, oh my gosh, what do I do? How am I going to do it? It's a tough road, and they don't know what to do. And it's such a common term nowadays. It's like, what do people do? What are you going to do if you do have it? And, right, so let's say you have a task or you have something you need to focus on, right, whether it be like making a YouTube video like this, whether it be, homework, schoolwork, a job, something you're working on. The first thing is part of ADHD and that prefrontal cortex not working as you'd like it to is sitting with uncomfortable feelings, right? Because part of engaging in a prolonged focus is not necessarily that you stare at your screen or your paper better than other people. It's that you can the uncomfortable feelings or fidgetiness or things that pop up in your mind do not take you away from the tasks. So how long can you sit with uncomfortable feelings? And so a good way to stay focused on tasks if you have ADHD is just throughout the day, at least one point in the day, choose some time in the day when you give yourself 20 minutes to an hour to process your emotions, to process your feelings, so that when you bring your mind to bear on tasks or on objectives or goals or dreams, you're not so bogged down by what's going on in here and you're more filled in by what's going on in the world or your tasks. The second is a lot of people think when you focus, you got to strain yourself. You got to grit your teeth and you got I'm really focused. It's like, no, dude, that's craziness. When you focus, that's when you should be most relaxed, most, at ease, most calm, right? When the teacher's talking and you're in class, if she tells you to focus, squinting isn't going to make you see the board better. In fact, relaxing your eyes and just looking, at the teacher and hearing just happens automatically is going to do better for you. So staying relaxed while you're engaging in tasks is super important. And then there's also kind of like There's also kind of a methodology to staying focused on tasks with ADHD. So I'm going to show you guys something real quick. I'm going to pull it up on good old Paint. This is going to be awesome. So it's going to be awesome possum. We got this. So let's do this. Da-da-da. Alrighty. So basically, with ADHD, if you want to stay focused, you should have, let's say, 4 to 5, but it could be, generally 4 is kind of optimal, but if it's 4 to 5, cycle between 4 to 5 activities. So what happens usually with ADHD is, let's say you do something for an hour. You do homework for 1 hour. Then you get bored, and you're like, all right, back to the phone. Let's scroll on TikTok. Let's scroll on YouTube Shorts. And you just, you're not able to stay sustained. But the best route is if you do this. If you, let's say, everyone always says there's an old analogy, right? You can't, no point in digging, you want to dig like one hole, it's better to dig one hole 100 feet deep than it is to dig 100 holes 1 foot deep. It's like, all right, that's very true, but you can dig 4 holes and you can just keep going, back and forth. So if we go to that hole analogy, let's say you have 4 main activities. What happens is you can do 1 for an hour, right? And then when you hit that boredom mark, so this we're going to label the boredom mark. When you hit that, oh, I'm bored, boring, right? Like this is snooze. When you hit that, then what you do is you just go to the next activity. And then when you hit the boring mark there, right, we're going to put boredom here as well. Boredom. And so then what you do is you're like, oh, I've hit the boredom mark here. Like this activity kind of sucks. Now you just go back up and you hit the boredom mark and you go back down. And you just cycle those activities. And those 4 activities, it could be like one's homework. The second is like, let's say, I don't know, exercise. The third is, let's say, like playing guitar. And that way, and the fourth is, let's say you're writing and you want to write a book. Right. That way, instead of going to scrolling or doing some activity that does not move the needle forward, you can cycle between 4 activities. And even though you're alternating, you're still making progress along the whole continuum on the 4 activities that you genuinely enjoy, that it's easy enough to focus in, and you don't have to stay in that boredom where you can't get anything done. So I hope that helps in that regard, or at least that little technique right there. So that is that. Then, right, then we're going to go back. So that's how you cycle between the 4 main activities, and that also helps to stay focused. You have ADHD. Now, once you find what you are most passionate about, naturally, your mind generally is able to focus. And so the goal is kind of with ADHD is kind of mastering like conscious or voluntary attention through either organized systems, medications, or routines that help you. Because there's a thing called top-down versus bottom-up attention, right? Bottom-up attention is like something pops up in the environment. You're driving your car and you see something. It's like, I like that color, that's kind of interesting. I wonder why that, right? That kind of attention. And top-down is I'm consciously choosing to place my attention on this. I'm going to sustain the focus, and it's under voluntary control. And so you're kind of using systems, organizational tools, medication, or even meditation to enhance that top-down attention, and systems to manage the heightened bottom-up attention so you don't get distracted. And so, what's it called? Now, a lot of people will be like, should you, control your thoughts when you're and try to strain when you are focusing with ADHD? No, do not make it a strain. Do not try to force. Naturally, if you're able to sit, right, and just look at, let's say, your math homework and just do it to the best of your ability, yes, those uncomfortable feelings will pop up. That's why we talked about processing time. Yes, it's going to be hard to sustain focus. That's why we talk about cycling the activities so you never stay too bored. And yes, that's why we talked about the medication treatment or even meditation to help that top-down attention. Because naturally, if you can stay focused on activity, you don't need to control so hard. You don't need to strain so much when you focus. You can naturally get stuff done. And then the last thing, right, is time management with ADHD can be kind of hard. There's a part of the brain, and I can link this in the description, called the suprachiasmatic nucleus. And with people with this is like the internal clock for the human brain. So with people with neurotypical brains or brains that do not have ADHD, a functioning suprachiasmatic nucleus, they estimate, let's say, this activity will take 20, 30 minutes. Or this homework assignment is going to take 20, 30 minutes. And that's like an accurate prediction of how long it'll actually take. And it's usually based on how long it's taken before, that's the info, and then, what their skills are at and stuff like that. And the brain's able to make that calculation pretty accurately. With ADHD, some of the time management things are not working properly. So for this last tip to stay focused is externalize time. So if you think, right, if you make a prediction something's going to take, let's say, an hour to get a homework assignment done, set a timer, and it doesn't matter if you're wrong or right in the prediction. This just gives you accurate feedback into, okay, how long do things actually take? When will I actually get things done? And it'll help you manage your schedule better because that helps us stay focused. And so if you have ADHD, just externalize time. Do not rely on your internal clock for all the time things. Just externalize it. Use calendars. Use timers. Life is going to be a lot easier for you. So I hope this helps. The 4 main tips, if you have ADHD, to stay focused, is do some emotional processing or meditation. Consider medication or treatment. 3 is do not strain when you're focused and cycle through activities. And 4, externalize time. And these will help you stay focused, accomplish your goals, and do your absolute best, even with the label that you have. Much love, and I hope you guys enjoy.